Assalamu alaikum and welcome to another episode of In Focus with me, Juwaria Perez. I wanted today to take you out of the studio to do something a little new. I decided to introduce you to one of my very dear friends. Her name is Sarah. She was born and brought up in Sweden and she has been a Muslim for 7 years. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh, Sarah. Thank you so much for receiving us in your home today. We're very pleased to be here.
You're more than welcome.
Today we'd like to discover a little about your life. As we've just said, you're a new Muslim, and probably the viewers now are seeing an increasing number of new Muslims embracing Islam, practicing the religion of Islam. How do you feel this religion is in 2003? How were you before? Shall we start with your childhood? Could you tell us something about your previous time?
Yeah, I was born in Sweden and I was a Protestant, and as a Protestant I was baptized, and then I had my confirmation. I used to go to Sunday school. I went to teenage church after school, and that was a little bit about my religion. Then I moved from Sweden to Denmark, where I studied, and then from Denmark I moved to London, where I did my university. I finished there with interior architecture. I am an interior architect, but I don't work with that today.
In what field do you work now?
I'm in sales and marketing now for an international company in Dubai.
So what about your, I wouldn't say the first contact with Muslims, we'll talk about this later on, but how did you feel about your previous religion in your childhood and teenager?
I always believed in God, and when I did my confirmation, my mother, she asked me, she wanted to know what I believed in, and I said I believe in God, but I don't believe that Jesus was the Son of God. And she said okay, she accepted that. And then I moved, my mom, she was working in the Middle East, so that's how I got introduced to Islam.
So that's your first contact with Muslims basically, or more with Islam. How was it? Did you have a kind of a right picture of Islam through the Muslims?
When I was younger?
Yes.
When I was away with her, I had to do a project for my school.
All right.
And I did it on Islam. So I presented it, so then I had to do a little research when I was traveling, and then I had to present it when I got back to school. And while I was in London in university, there was a lot of Arabs in university, so I also got to know a little bit more about Islam.
Sarah, what was your first attraction to Islam in terms of differences? There's probably something that has appealed you in this new religion that you were not founding in your previous religion, Christianity.
Yeah. You know, I mean, the belief is clearly defined in Islam. And, you know, in Christianity, they say God is everywhere, which is not true, because God is not everywhere. He's not a shape or a person or anything. And you know, this can really, you know, it misleads you, and it did mislead me. I didn't understand God cannot be everywhere. You know, we have the Creator existed before everything, so you know, he's not in a place, so we can't say that he's everywhere. He's
because everywhere is the totality of the places, after all.
Yeah, and also, you know, I mean, they say that he's up in heaven, and people look up in heaven. He's not in heaven, because then again, you know, we are saying that he's in a place.
Yeah, he's not confined or limited in a location, of course not.
So, you know, and this can mislead people. You know, people, they look up to the sky. No, I mean, we have, you know, 6 directions, and, you know, we cannot say that God is anywhere. And in Christianity, I felt that I was being misled. And also, you know, the Jewish, they say that the Creator is established on a throne. Again, you know, people think, okay, is he sitting in a, you know, in a sofa somewhere? No. And you cannot say him. You know, him is not a person. It's just that this is, we
not
call
as
it,
a gender.
Yes, and it's not a gender. So we can, you know, Islam, this is forbidden, you know, it's certain rules, and then you learn these rules, then you understand, you know, what the Creator, you know, what it is.
How to direct your worship towards the Creator and not something of your imagination, like some people may do in other faiths. Indeed, I think this is something really that myself I was very, very much touched with, is that when you talk about the Creator, you never say how or where, because he's different than the creation. He existed before all of this, and he still is the same as he was before, that is perfect and unchanged. He didn't become a body.
No.
He didn't started being limited in a location. Therefore, we say ليس كمثله شيء. He does not resemble the creation in any way. And this is the pure belief Muslims have, fortunately. So this is like your main attraction. Finally, you knew who you were worshipping.
Yeah, and it's, you know, I mean, it's very defined. It's very defined. And also, you know, I mean, you know, you believe in your heart and you declare with your tongue. This is
The confirmation of your faith.
And this, you know, you don't have that anywhere else.
Now, in terms of behaviors, else than the belief, what were you missing before? Because we do realize that in some Western societies, maybe some people are looking for something. They sometimes meditate, or, you know, they're seeking something. What has Islam brought into your life as a feeling or behaviors that you were missing before?
It has brought patience and discipline. You know, the discipline that you pray 5 times a day. Some people might think that that's a lot. And it's not, you know, you don't feel it, because it's, if I'm at work and I have to go and pray, it's time when I can take and, you know, be to myself and pray to my God. And, you know, it gives you, you know, time for yourself, only for yourself. And, you know, you really discipline yourself. It's not something that is tiring to do.
It's nice.
It makes you
what
happy,
say.
you know.
Definitely, because a lot of people, and especially nowadays in some societies, I think when they say discipline, they see it like a, oof, you know, a word that we don't really like. They don't realize that discipline can bring a lot to each and every person. But nowadays it seems that a lot of people would rather go to a quick fix or self-satisfaction and indulgence, and that is a major problem, because they lose touch with spirituality and how to share with others.
But, you know, people, they go into meditation, you know, and praying is probably, I mean, you know, it's very, you feel very pure, you know, you do your wudu, and then you know, you go and pray, and, you know, you feel very good. It relaxes you. You know, if you are upset or something, if you go and, you know, you do your wudu and you go and pray, it really relaxes you. And, you know, you start again being patient, because that's all it is, you know, that you're patient, and, you know what, everything you do, you should do it right.
So there we have Hélène, or Helen, moving to Sarah slowly but surely. You were evolving. What was the reaction of your family when they saw you changing?
It was mixed. My mother, she's very happy for me, and maybe because she has lived in the Middle East and she sees, you know, how people are and everything. In Sweden, you know, maybe some people have different opinions about Muslims. And, you know, they think maybe women are lower, you know, they're looked down at, and that's not true. You know, a woman has so many rights in Islam, and she's very protected.
Would you like to say a word about that? In
I
terms of marrying, or
yeah, in marriage, you know, you have your rights. I mean, you know, it's only societies that maybe make, you know, women, you know, in some societies that, you know, wearing a scarf is nothing that you are forced to do. It's up to yourself. It's something that you protect yourself, and you do that for God. You don't do that for anybody else. And your husband is not, you know, somebody who tells you what to do. No, you do that because you want to do it. You know, it's give and take all the time with your husband. And there's, you know, in no other religion is there, you know, a certain rules, you know, how a husband and wife should be together. And this is maybe misinterpreted in
very much
the
because
West.
of some cultures around the world.
Yeah.
You just told us about your mother. What about your father?
Now I want to tell you one more thing about my mother. Always when I'm with her, she always reminds me, isn't it time for you to pray? I think this is very sweet, and I know that she's very close to Islam, and inshallah she will embrace Islam.
It's amazing that she reminds you on the prayers.
Yeah, and I feel very good about that. Even my father, you know, in his house I pray, and, you know, I mean, he will, you know, tell other people, please be quiet because she's praying. So I do know, yes, they do respect me, and they respect, it's my choice, you know, I mean, what religion I want to have. You know, maybe it's a little bit different, but I haven't changed as a person. Maybe I've become better because I have maybe more patience, and, you know, it will take me through life, you know, in the way that is good for me and not in a bad way.
Definitely. And we talked a little about the father and mother. If we go outside and we meet the friends with this major change, There are different things that change in your life when you become a Muslim and you start practicing. What was the reaction of your friends, colleagues, and people around you altogether?
They're all very happy. I mean, Muslim people, of course, they will be even, you know, happier because they feel proud of you and they are happy that you know, embrace Islam. Even today, I was in the office, and you know, when I go and pray, that reminds other people who are born to be Muslims, you know, that, you know, maybe I should also go and pray. And they even say, you know, I'm so lucky that I'm born a Muslim. And sometimes they, you know, how would, you know, it would be very difficult, they would think, you know, to change to another religion. And I said, you know, it's not. I mean, you know, because you know, I can always look back and, you know, I have support from Allah. And other friends of mine, you know, I have friends that are Muslims and, you know, they have other religions, but they will still, you know, I respect them, so in return they will respect me. And all my friends that are Muslim, I mean, they try to teach me more and more, you know, because I still have to learn. And I think they feel proud, you know, that I'm one of them. And it makes it, you know, when you have Muslim friends, these are really your friends, you know, I mean, you know, you have so much in common. You have everything in common.
The love for the sake of the Creator,
Yeah.
when you feel this
Yeah.
chemistry,
Yeah.
it's a pure friendship, which is regardless the title, the family, the money, the position. It's purely for the belief we
Yeah.
carry in our heart. We call it aqidah.
Mm.
Now, you've just kind of a couple of weeks, you came back from Sweden, you were there on holiday. How was it altogether to be a Muslim out and about?
Now?
Yes.
I look up to Muslims that are Muslim in a non-Muslim country, because it's not that easy, you know, and especially with media, you know, I mean, they can, you know, what has happened now in the past years, you know, with September 11, that has reflected bad on Islam. And, you know, but it has nothing to do really with Islam, you know, the religion.
Definitely not.
And, you know, it's more difficult for people. It is difficult for people, you know, and I'm very lucky to be living in an Islamic country, because it's much easier to practice your religion in a Muslim country than in non-Muslim, because they really have to, you know, where do they go and pray, and, you know, if a woman wears a hijab, people will look at her. And
do you feel they have let's say, the truthful picture of Islam?
some do and some don't. I mean, Sweden is an open country and you're free to, you know, practice what you want to practice, and people respect you for that. But some people, no, they don't. They just look at media and they don't really look what Islam is. You know, it's a peaceful religion. It's not fighting, and this is what they see, that it's fighting.
And it just reminds me on one of the stories you told me once we were sitting, since we're friends, we meet from time to time. You were telling me this really interesting story when you were in a conference.
Oh, yeah.
With this man who was quite interested.
Yeah, I was in Poland on a training course. And that was during Ramadan. I was a little bit worried, you know, I would travel because I was going to be gone for 10 days, you know, because I don't want to break my fast. I want to continue my fast, and I did. And, you know, people were wondering, you know, are you not joining us for lunch? I said, no, thank you. And they said, you don't eat? No, I said, you know, it's Ramadan now, so we are fasting. And, you know, there were Muslims there and, you know, different religions. But there was one man, he was Christian, and he was very interested. And he thought, this is, you know, it makes you very strong. You know, I mean, Ramadan, again, it's another discipline. And you do that for God. You know, that's one time during the year that you can actually do something for God. And it makes you very strong. I mean, you know, alhamdulillah, when I was there, I didn't have any problems. And, you know, I felt very happy with myself, and I thank, you know, God that He gave me the strength to go through, because I still had to continue learning. You know, it was a full-day program.
But you were just like the others,
Yeah,
attending
like,
the conference, feeling okay,
Yeah.
people were interacting
Yeah.
with you.
Yeah.
And no one would know if we didn't go
No.
for lunch.
No. No.
That's brilliant. Now, there's another thing I would like to ask you about. Basically, the major misconceptions. You know how these stereotypes fall in some Western societies? Could you just name some of them and why, maybe?
From Muslims, it's very important that we present ourselves in a right way. You know, that
Definitely.
we don't do things if we do things, okay, then we have to, if you don't wear a scarf, okay, then you say, you do that for, you know, it's your own sin. It's a small sin. You don't have to wear a scarf. If I don't wear a scarf, then, you know, it's me. But, you know, then this is not what you should be doing. And, you know, that's just a small thing. But drinking alcohol, that's nothing that, you know, is allowed in our religion. But if you do that, okay, and you are a Muslim, you should admit it and say this is not something you should do, because then people understand. In the West, they have to understand that Islam is, yes, it has certain reason why we don't do certain things. You know, you don't eat pork, and, you know, but you can explain that to people. And like halal meat, for instance, you know, in Sweden, maybe it's, you know, the meat is not halal. And they don't understand, yes, why don't you eat it? But, you know, we don't eat that. So you explain to them.
So basically you're telling me, which I feel very much when I go back home also to Switzerland or Spain, that unfortunately too many people are judging Islam through Muslims.
Yeah.
Just like, definitely, I think I would never be able to understand everything about Christianity just by watching Christians.
Yeah.
At the same time, people should not judge Islam through Muslims' behaviors, because some of them may practice their religion, some others poorly, some others not at all.
And that's the same with Christians, but you don't look, you know, I mean, everybody in Sweden is born as a Christian, but you don't say, okay, look at this Christian.
Definitely,
no.
yes.
But, you know, and then because I'm a Muslim, or look at this Muslim, this is how they, you know, because there's many Christians who might not follow everything that, you know, they are supposed to follow, but they don't address that person as the Christian.
So it seems that the way you talk, we can see two things. The non-Muslims sometimes judging or having misconceptions because of the bad behaviors of Muslims.
Yeah.
So there is a focus also
Yeah.
for Muslims.
Yeah.
When they travel, they should try to represent better their religion.
Not only travel, also, you know, you have to do it all the
Altogether,
time.
yes,
all
yes.
the time. And you have to, like, I can talk about, I was a Christian before, like you were, and, you know, I can compare, because,
Definitely.
you know, now I know I'm following something that is right, and I can tell other people about that, and, you know, they respect that, because, you know, they know that I do know a bit about, you know, Christianity, and now I can, you know, I can explain to them why Islam is making me happy, and it's, you know, it's leading me to something good.
Now you have 3 lovely children.
Yes, I do.
And the eldest one is already a teenager.
Yeah.
What are the very important values you would like them to carry as adults?
I think the value of, I mean, they have to love their religion. And, you know, you have to be proud to be a Muslim, you know, wherever you are in the whole world. You know, you have to be proud to say, yes,
Definitely.
I'm a Muslim. And, you know, for me, it's an honor to be a Muslim. I mean, I tell them, you're very lucky, you were born a Muslim. I had to, you know, to become a Muslim, which I'm very happy that I became. But, you know, because if you love God, you feel so, you never feel lonely. And this is what I tell my children, you're never lonely, you're never lonely. Don't, you know, they don't have to be afraid of anything. The only thing they have to fear is fear God.
Definitely.
And that's the only thing, you know, I know if they fear God, they will grow up and they will be good people.
It gives a very strong foundation to the children and right
Yeah.
balance. When definitely you do see that, especially when people travel to Western societies, you see some children that don't even answer the salam because they are almost ashamed to, especially in a public place, to say that they're Muslims. They, like, you know, I'm not one of you, or, but it should be something very natural, just like other people are from other religions.
Yeah.
Why should we hide, and why should we let our children not tell others about their religion if they're asked, at least? It's not that you have to go out and, you know, tell everyone, hello, I'm a Muslim, but at least just be happy with
Yeah,
yourself
yeah.
and be satisfied with your religion. Because I believe that real success is not just getting a degree or being a lawyer.
It's very important, you know, when my second daughter, when she was reciting the Fatiha and she prayed, I mean, you know, it gives me tears. And I said, that was, you know, that was her biggest achievement, you know, because, you know, when you learn to read the Fatiha and when you learn to pray, you have to tell the children that you're very happy about that, because, you know, yes, you're happy they go to school and they learn and everything, but also we have to remember the first thing that we have to bring up our children is to become a good Muslim.
Definitely.
Because then we know, this is the only thing that, you know, us as a parents, we have to ask the children, you know, that they have to believe in God and they have to do good for God. Because then, you know, we have done our duty, because everything else will come.
It will come together.
Yeah, the same, you know, if you're working, I mean, you know, if you do good for God, you know that there's certain rules that you behave when you're working and you do your best. The same for the children, you know, they will do the best too.
Very nice. Now, as a conclusion, Sarah, what would you like to share with the viewers that, let's say, one of, or the most precious feeling you received from Islam and you would like to share with others today?
Oh, it's I mean, life, you know, it's everything, you know. I know that there's something I have to work for, you know, we are only living here for, you know, a few number of years, but I have to do good now, so I will receive something in the hereafter, inshallah. And, you know, it's belonging to Islam, and to say you're a Muslim, that's something you should be proud of, not something that, you know, you should feel it should make you strong. I'm very happy to be a Muslim. And it makes me strong, you know, it makes me feel strong. You know, I want to share that with other people. If they ask me, yes, I will share it with them, you know. They will have their own views, but you know, my belief is that, you know, I'm very proud to be a Muslim, and I'm very happy that I found that it was not too late for me, because, you know, we don't know what will happen tomorrow.
Well, you definitely don't look miserable at all to me.
No, I don't. I don't.
And I want to thank you very much for sharing this time with us, and I hope that the beautiful answers would be food for the hearts,
Inshallah,
all around those who are watching us. Maybe on another show we'll have you with the children, with a little more details on your life.
Yeah.
Thanks again.
Thank you.
Thanks for watching us. We're expecting you next week in Focus.